Hello students, welcome to our lecture on the parts of speech, and today we are going to take up the part of speech called noun, which is the basic formation, right? So this is the first of our part of speech lecture, and we are going to take up the part of speech called the noun. It's a very simple part, and I'm quite sure that most of us would know about it. But then when it comes to the SAT, or when it pertains to the SAT, there are certain analytics of the noun that we must be familiar with, or we must know what these properties of nouns are all about. So we will take up those properties of a noun in this lecture. So what is a noun? A noun is basically simply means the name of something. It is nothing but the name of something, such as a person, a place, a thing, or an idea, right? Everything is a noun, right? Okay. But then the features of noun that we are expected to know is to understand what are the roles that a noun can play, and depending on the role, we might have a difference in the way the verb is used, right? So sometimes the noun is used as a subject, a direct object, an indirect object, a subject complement, object complement, and a appositive or a modifier, right? So out of these, when it comes to the SAT, we must know how a noun is used as a subject and an object, right? We must know how a noun is used as an appositive or a modifier. The rest of the things will fall in place automatically, right? So let's look at an example. Okay, let's look at an example. In this, we are saying that Embiid passed Simmons the ball, right? Simon Simmons, doesn't matter whichever way you pronounce it, right? I pronounce it as Simmons because there used to be a very good cricket player called Phil Simmons, right? So I would use it as Simmons. So Embiid passed Simmons the ball, right? Okay, in this sentence, past is the verb. As you can understand, the action that happens is past, right? And Embiid is the subject because he's the person who is doing whatever it needs to happen, right? And the direct object, right, is the ball. The direct object to this subject is the ball because he's doing something to the ball, right? Of course. So as you can see that this is a noun, this is a noun, right? And again, this is a noun, right? This is an article, and this is the verb, right? This is the sentence all about. So very simple, small sentence. Obviously, on the SAT, you cannot expect such sentences, but this is just for you to understand, right? So we have got three nouns: noun 1, noun 2, noun 3, right? But then the direct object is the ball because Embiid is doing something to the ball, not directly to Simmons, right? Okay, and Simmons is the indirect object because he is the person, right, who receives the action but indirectly through the ball, right? Fine. So this is how nouns, these are basically the differences with the nouns and the kind of sort of roles that the nouns can play. But this is not the point of contention out here on the SAT. This is not the point of contention, right? Okay, we need to analyze the nouns and we need to understand three properties of a noun. That is very important because the whole of the SAT, probably in agreements, would keep using these three properties interchangeably. So the property 1, the first property of a noun is that there are two numbers associated with a noun, right? Many of us, in fact most of us, would know it, that a noun could be singular or plural. Sounds very simple that a noun could be singular or plural, goes without saying. But sometimes to understand the various uses of verbs pertaining to, and pronouns also, agreeing to the singular or the plural noun sometimes may be difficult when it comes to more complicated sentences. The property number 2 that we are expected to know is the gender. Nouns basically have got 4 genders for practical uses, right? Okay, one obviously is the masculine gender or the male gender, right? Okay, like a man, lion, hero, boy, king, all these are masculine gender. Then we have got a feminine gender, obviously ones that are females, like woman, lioness, heroine, girls, male, niche, empress, etc., 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 right? There are various ways in which we can convert the masculine gender into the feminine gender in English, but that is not something that we are going to harp on right now, because that is classical grammar in English. We are not expected to do that for the purpose of SAT. For the purpose of SAT, we need to understand that whenever we have a noun, we need to understand what is the number of that noun. We need to understand what is the gender of that noun, so that we are able to understand if the sentence given is correct or incorrect. Okay, and we also need to understand what is the case of that noun. We will come to that case a little later, right? So obviously we have seen two genders. As I said, that there are four basic genders that we can demarcate a noun into. One is the masculine gender, then the feminine gender, then there is the neuter gender. Obviously, neuter genders are nouns that don't have a gender, right? Nouns that don't have a gender. Okay, fine, right? Like your simple table, chair, computer, right? These don't have a gender at all. Chair, table, tree, star, mountain, etc. They don't have a gender. And then there is a common gender, right? These are nouns that have a gender, right? But it is not explicit. The noun does have a gender, but then it is not explicitly mentioned about the gender of the child, like child, right? Okay, a child could be a female child or a male child, student, friend, applicant, candidate. All these are common gender in terms of nouns. Okay, so now we come to some certain notes. Okay, the first note that we are taking cognizance of is that collective nouns, right? These are some collective nouns, like these are army, police, etc. These are a form of neuter nouns. They don't have a gender, but then they are always treated as number singular. This is very important. They are always treated as singular number, right? So the army, the police, right? Okay, so the army is doing its task, right? Is, it is not the army are, though obviously you can understand that the army has got reference to more individuals than a singular individual, but then the number for these nouns are singular. Okay, objects noted for their power, strength, violence, etc. are always termed as masculine gender. Generally, you would not find, there is only one instance that I can remember that SAT has asked this kind of a question, but 99% SAT doesn't ask such questions. Okay, so things like the sun, summer, time, death, etc. are all masculine gender nouns, right? The sun is so scorching that we cannot go out to face him without an umbrella, right? Okay, fine. So it's like that. So basically it has been referred to as the masculine gender. Okay, and sometimes other nouns which are known for the beauty, the gentleness, the grace, right? Okay, are all feminine gender. Okay, even a country which is considered to be a mother, right? Things like that. So all masculine gender. The moon is so bright, right, that she induces romantic mood. Things like that. Okay, not something that SAT asks you very often, but then I have put this out here because there has been one instance where I found that SAT has asked this kind of a question. The third property of a noun is the noun or the pronoun case. Now basically case would mean, right, a noun, the basic placement of a noun or the position of the noun in a sentence, right? The basic position of the noun in a sentence is called the noun case. Okay, for our purposes we are only looking at three cases, that is nominative case, objective or accusative case, or the possessive or the genitive case. These are the three cases that we will talk about. The nominative case, or sometimes it is also called the subjective case, right? It is also called the subjective case, right? So these are the three cases that we are going to talk about. So let's talk about these cases. Are mostly for theoretical use, wherein you want to put a lot of stress on nouns per se. No one but me could have done a certain thing, right? SAT doesn't give you, it does not give you such sentences at all. So we are not worried about talking about these two cases for the purposes of SAT. For the purposes of SAT, we are going to talk about three cases. One, the nominative case. The nominative case is if the subject of a verb is the noun. right? If the subject of the verb is a noun, then it is in nominative case, as simple as that. Mr. Ram is an intelligent boy. Mr. Ram is an intelligent boy, right? Out here, this sentence is in the nominative case. There are millions of ways in which this could be transferred or changed to the accusative or the objective case, right? An intelligent boy, Mr. Ram, XYZ, right? Things like that. So there are millions of ways in which it could be changed to the objective case. But then yes, Mr. Ram is an intelligent boy is in the nominative case. The painter paints the portrait, right? Again, in nominative case, I'm buying vegetables, or I buy vegetables for my family, right? So I and buy vegetables, right? Right? What is happening? We're buying vegetables. Okay, fine. So simple nutshell: when the doer comes before what is being done, when the doer comes before what is being done, right? Basically, it is in nominative case, as simple as that. The other way around, what is being done comes before the doer is in the objective case. Okay, I met your sister. Okay, I met her. Okay, fine. The vendors sell mangoes. Okay, so what is being sold? Mangoes are being sold. Okay, and who sells them? Vendors sell them. Okay, but the sell, as you can see, comes before the mangoes, what is being sold, right? These are all in the objective case. They basically are when what is being done, right? Sell is being done, and what is being sold out here, obviously mangoes, right? It comes after what is being done. Basically, these are all cases of objective nouns, right? Objective cases of nouns. And the possessive case or the genitive case are the one which denotes ownership. Okay, this is your pencil, this is a pronoun your, right? Okay, our idea. Okay, sisters, John's sister, right? So apostrophe s, right? That is one way of doing it, right? All these nouns or pronouns are in the possessive case, okay, or the genitive case. This is said to be so. In all probabilities, generally this is used with living organisms, living, L-I-V-I-N-G, right? Living organisms. Okay, generally we would not associate this to non-living or a neuter gender like the chair, right? Okay, this is the chair's leg. Generally, we would not like to use it like that, right? So generally, in case of living organisms, this is used, and these ones and these ones in the nominative case have got different pronouns which are used for them, right? As you can understand. So it is very important for us to understand the case of a sentence before we use the pronouns. Okay, fine. As for example, I have done this work, right? This work, if I put it down to objective, right? This is nominative. This work has been done by me, right? So you can see that the pronoun changes. In this case, it is I. So the nominative pronoun is I, and the objective pronoun is me, right? This is my work. Again, the possessive pronoun is my, right? So basically, we need to understand that with the change of case of noun, the pronoun changes. So it is very important for us to understand which pronoun is to be used depending on the case of the noun. Stay tuned for the next video, which will be on the pronouns as used on the site.